Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear us? If you guys can hear, just say something on the chat so that we know everything's cool. Cool. All right. So everything seems to be working great. I guess we can go ahead and get started. So my name's Roshan. We just took out the text in top of our heads a second ago. This is Klee. I'm a software engineer here. I've been 1.5 years almost.
Hi, this is Klee. I'm software engineer also, and been here 1.5 years.
Hi, I'm Stefan. I'm a software engineer too. Been here for 1.5 years, just like them.
My name is Monica. I lead the CXT team
What's
and
CXT?
a customer service team, and I've been here for 2 years now.
Hey guys, this is Talha. I'm a software engineer. I'm from Colombia. I've been here for about 1.5 years.
Cool. So just to give you a small intro, today's webinar, what we're going to go through is we'll walk through the schedule for the day of Super Saturday so that you guys know exactly what you'll go through during the day. And then really try to dive into what things you will be doing in those specific categories. And then first, before we get started, I want to go over like what Super Saturday experience is. So the typical example our CEO Charlie gives is if you take a trip in a car with one person and you drive to Boston and back, that's about 6-7 hours. At the end of the trip, you'll kind of know this person. Like you'll know if you like them, if you want to work with them, you'll get to know a lot about them. If you don't want to work with them, I think that trip will also tell you that, right? So that is the kind of philosophy that we have for Super Saturday. That is why you will have a full day experience from speaker series to interviews to business practicals, tech practical, like all different activities, so that we really get to know you. So we have, if you guys didn't know, we have a no fire policy. So if once you're hired, you're going to be here for good, right? And that is the reason why we really want to get to know you, and at the same time, you get to know us. We don't want you to come to NextJump and feel left out or not fit into the culture. So we really want to get to know you and you us. So NextJump has this amazing, unique culture. It's not for everyone, and that's exactly why we want to do this webinar and do the Super Saturday and really explain to you guys what the day is like. So from there on, do you guys have any thoughts to add about Super Saturday?
We could probably share the schedule.
Yeah.
For Super Saturday.
So we can quickly jump into the schedule. Stefan, if you can get that. Cool. So on the day of, starting around 9, we've asked you guys to start coming in around 9, do the check-in, and we're gonna have some nice breakfast for you guys set up to go with coffee. You don't have to bring anything in. Once you check in, have breakfast, we will kick off the speaker series. So you will get an intro about NextJump from Greg, our co-founder, one of our co-founders, and then move into explaining to you guys what our business is. There'll be a small talk about business, how NextJump makes money and our business model. And then we will have Shrilan and Nayan go over their story at NextJump. Not many years ago, I think 5-6 years, Nayan came in just like you guys from a career fair, and now he's a co-head of revenue. So they will go through their story at NextJump, how they came through the ranks and how they've changed and accomplished so much throughout their career at NextJump. And then next, we would have a why presentation with Abe. Why presentation, it's very unique. It will try to help you figure out what drives you, the core of what really motivates you, drives you. So NextJump really wants you to understand yourself, personal development. So why presentation is where a lot of people, when they come to NextJump, that's where they start. So Abe will give a quick presentation about that Y experience that he had. Abhay just started with us a couple of months ago. And then after that, we will move on to the technical and business exercises, lunch, career fair. We will talk about each of these other sections in detail. Most of the guys who are heading these things on the career fair are here today. So after that, you can ask any questions. And also, if you have any questions, right, you can just put it on the chat so we can respond to as we get time. So later on during the day, you'll have the culture interviews where we will really try to understand you as a person more than your technical skills. And then we have a team challenge. We want to really see the soft skills of how you interact with others and how you respond to stress and things like that. And you will get some amazing frozen yogurt or maybe some other treats this time. I forget, right? And a speech with a keynote speech from our co-CEOs, Charlie and Megan. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to myself to speak about the speaker series. I think I already covered that. So we can move on to the next one, which is the career fair, which Cleve will talk to you guys more about.
Okay, so for the career fair this year, the purpose for the career fair is like you guys have more understanding about our revenue side, like what we are working on currently. So we will have different booths about like perks.org, central database, and merchants, also one car, and the DevOps, and OS for culture. So during the career fair, you guys have like around 1 hour's time, so you can go to different booths which you are interested, and there will be people there like answering questions and introduce different part of our revenue. So you will have a more understanding about what we are working on, and yeah, basically that's it. Do you guys have any more things?
Yeah, I mean, I would think about the career fair similar to a campus career fair, but instead of other companies coming, it'll be basically team from within NextJump who would be pitching their products to all the candidates. So it'll be a chance for you to basically know our product deeply and what teams we have. So in case you can form your own opinions about what team excites you more, what kind of product excites you more going forward.
Yeah. Next up, we have a quick note from Stefan about the technical interview process.
All right, hey everyone. So for the technical interview process, there's 2 distinct parts that will be taking place. There's first going to be sort of a multiple choice type style questionnaire where we'll be testing your knowledge of different tech facets, and then we'll be having a practical where you'll be actually coding on some of our machines. So to do that, just make sure that you're aware of your basic web dev experience, HTML, CSS. We use PHP here, but I think you can use other languages as well, but be well versed in PHP. And for other positions, other technical positions such as DevOps, security, tracking, you'll be getting tests as well. They won't be specifically tailored to web dev. They'll be tailored to that field that you'll be applying for. So DevOps, security, etc. You'll get relevant questions and a relevant practical for that as well. The only exception is tracking. If you're a tracking candidate, you'll be getting the web dev questions. So just brush up on that. If you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to whoever emailed you. It might have been me, it might have been Candy, someone else. Feel free to always email us.
Next up, we have, let me try to find this.
I think I'm on the
Business.
next.
Yeah, Monica about the business interview.
So while the engineers do the coding test, the business candidates will have 2 different business tests. Essentially what it will be is just to test your basic business skills. You'll be given a real life problem to solve for. You're given time to think about it. It's just a prompt, you read through it, you figure out how you would solve for it, and then present it to a judge. That's the basic concept for both the business practicals. They'll have different problems, but the process for both of them will be the same.
Cool. Cool. Next up, Talha on culture interviews.
Yeah. So just to make sure you guys are not confused, so initially we talked about the coding test for engineers. At the same time, business candidates would go through a business practical, which Monica just talked about. So after we are done with the initial interview, the coding test and the business practical, you guys will have a lunch followed by the career fair, and then there will be a cultural interview section. So that's where we get to know you and you get to know NextJump. So there'll be around like 3-4 interviews. You'll also get a culture tour of the NextJump office. But one thing to keep in mind, I really want you to understand what NextJump is in terms of a culture. So I can take some time to describe that. So NextJump is it's not a typical tech company. It's not a typical company at all. So we have a very deliberate and very strong focus on personal development and growth, which also means there's a lot of critical feedback. And we're looking for people who have growth mindset, who are humble enough, who are willing to listen to feedback and grow. So basically, that's what NextJump is all about. At the same time, you'll get a chance to ask us questions during those interviews about NextJump, our product, and so that's the time you'll actually learn most about NextJump, and we will learn most about you.
All right. So the last segment, I think, of the interviews is the team challenge with Monica.
It's pretty much like the business challenge that I just described. It will be, as a team, you'll be split up into teams of 4 or 5, and you'll be given a problem to solve for, not just business. It will be where everybody's skills are required. Essentially a real life scenario like you would have at NextJump, where you're expected to coordinate with more than just your specific team. You'll work on it as a team, and then like 2 teams will go up against each other to present and almost battle it out to have one winner. Between all of the teams, at the end of the day, Greg will announce one winner, one winning team, and the members of that team get a pretty cool prize.
Oh, that's a surprise.
Cool. We just got one question through email. There's design candidates. They're going to have their own exam, I think. So there will be no coding for the design candidates. We have a separate exam designed by our design team, so no coding for that. Cool. So that's pretty much the schedule for the day. You guys have the rest of the 40 minutes. If you have any questions about NextJump, about the process during the day, anything at all about our technologies, feel free to ask away. We're here to help. So there is a few second delay. So once you ask a question, it might take a few seconds before you hear a response. Okay.
Feel free to ask anything. It could be technical. It could be about the Super Saturday, about our experiences, whatever.
Cool. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a dress code?
Yeah.
So for the dress code, it's just pretty much standard business casual or business professional, whichever you prefer. It's just a normal interview process. So whatever you would wear to another interview, you should wear it here.
I think a good way to answer this would be, so this is the normal dress we wear at NextJump. So you can probably a little bit more formal than this, given that it's an interview. So a business professional would probably work.
So so after Super Saturday, within the next week, you're definitely going to hear back whichever way, whether you've passed or you haven't. Within the next week, you'll know.
You should repeat the question.
Yeah.
Sorry, the question was when will we hear back in regards to whether you get an offer? You will hear back within a week whether you've passed or not.
The garden is a semi-garden. We do have plants. We have fake grass in it.
I think the idea is actually goes beyond that. So we have a very strong culture around health and wellness, and there was a time when we wanted to create an indoor garden within NextJump with real plants. So we made a V1, we tried it, and all the plants died within a few months because we didn't really know how to take care of it. So we basically revived it again with like new plants. So right now we have this indoor hall, basically with fake grass but real plants. So all the walls are pretty much plants, and I've heard rumors that you can actually eat some of the plants in your lunch.
No, you can.
You can.
Yeah. So that's the garden.
Cool. Next question, where is the pre-event, right?
When
Yep.
and where?
Yeah, when and where. It's at Spin New York. Spin New York is not a spin studio. It is a ping pong bar, right? So bring your IDs if you're planning to drink, I guess, right?
Yeah.
It's, yeah,
If
it's
you're
on
of
it's
age,
on
if you're not-
48 East 23rd Street. 48 East 23rd Street. It's like you have to walk down. It's underground. It's a pretty nice big place. So we'll have food and drinks there when you guys come in, and we'll have a bunch of next jumpers there. If you have more questions, like really want to understand what their experience is like, so you can get to know a lot about Next Jump on that day also. And more than anything, you can even socialize with everyone who's going to come for the Super Saturday. Yeah.
As for the time, I believe 6 to 8, right?
Yep, 6 to 8.
So there's a question around how is the job location decided? I think Monica, you can answer this.
Yeah, so I think the job location has to do with two things. One, yes, your preference will be taken into account.
What locations?
So we have, right now it'll be between Boston and New York. And it'll be what you prefer, but also where your team is located. So there are certain teams where you will have to go. So DevOps candidates, chances are you'll go more towards Boston than New York, unless there's like a real need to be in New York. But most other like web dev and business, it will be decided based on what the team needs and what you prefer.
So there's another question. Do we have to bring our own laptop for the interview?
No.
No, you will not have to. There will be desktops for you to use during the interview process.
So just to give you guys a clarification, if you're not sure, if you get hired, you get to pick what kind of computer you use, right? And these are like the top of the line. But on the interview day, you have to use a Windows PC. But you don't have to navigate through the on the computer. You just code on pretty much on the browser, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that actually ties into one of the other questions.
Yeah.
Which IDE will be provided during coding? So there is no IDE. So the whole test is going to be online based. So we created a portal that you will go to and you'll be coding there. It has, I think, the basics like syntax highlighting and things like that, but there's no IDE. It will be an online based test.
Do you want to talk about the two tests that they're going to get? Did you mention that already?
I mentioned them briefly. I mean,
Okay.
there's going to be like a strictly just multiple choice sort of
Yeah.
place where we're going to be testing your general computer science knowledge. And then there's going to be the actual coding practical where you'll be actually coding and doing exercises that we ask you to do.
Okay, got it. So there's a question, is there anything we should bring beside ourselves? Notebook, resumes? So I would suggest bring your resumes, although we'll have a copy, but it's always good to have extra resume. So for engineers, so there's a part of the coding challenge, the initial test, which is open book. You can Google, you can use any resources you have. So if you want to bring your notebooks, we would suggest that's okay. But only for the part where we allow you to access external resources. So another question. Have any of you worked in different companies before NextJump? Was there any culture shock? What was difficult to deal with? I can take it.
Sure, I think we can all try.
So I've worked at one company. I don't know if I should take names or not, but
Probably not.
Yeah.
okay. I mean, I've worked at a big corporation before NextJump. I was in the DevOps team there, but it's a huge corporation. And one thing I decided after working there was I was never going to work at a large company. And that could be based on a personal preference, but it was mostly because when you're in a big corporation, your actual interaction with people in that corporation actually takes a hit. You're dealing more with set in stone policies and set in stone rules that the corporation needs in order to run efficiently instead of dealing with people. So that's one thing which I missed a lot. And at NextJump, whatever you need, you have to deal with people. NextJump is basically built. People are the building stones of NextJump. So that's one of the biggest differences here. Another question from Saurabh. What operating system would we be using for the coding exercise? Windows?
Yeah, everyone's going to be using Windows, but again, it's all online, so it should be pretty much standard, except for like the command key will be different, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So another question from Chaitanya. Could you please provide a few more details about the rounds for business associate role? The stream was stuck for a while.
Oh, yeah,
Sorry
sure.
about that.
Sorry about that. Essentially, it'll just be 2 business practicals where in each you'll be given a different scenario to work through. It'll be regular everyday business problems that you would face here and how you would deal with them. You'll be given some time to think about it and prepare a presentation. It can just be like up on a whiteboard, and then you'll present it to a judge. That's about it.
Okay. So just to clarify, so whether you're a business candidate, an engineer, DevOps, so the only thing different among you would be the morning section from 10:45 a.m. till 12:55 p.m. So it's like a 1-hour section. So that's the only thing which would be different. After that, it's pretty much the same, whether you're business, whether you're DevOps, whether you're design or web dev.
I see a very important question from Howley Do. What's the office temperature?
Okay, there's a question about this as well.
Yeah, wild swings of temperature depending on the weather outside. It could be very cold, so be
But yeah,
prepared.
I would suggest it's closer to the cold side.
Yeah.
Feel free to bring a coat or anything like that. We have a coat check too, so if you need to check your coat, that's
Yeah.
fine.
So
But I mean, Talha's not wearing a jacket and he's fine.
I'm wearing a sweater and I'm fine too. So.
Yeah, and I'm wearing like a thing and I'm okay. So I think anyone can be comfortable. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal.
so there's a question above this one from Mohita. What does the company value the most?
It's an important one. If I had to say one word, it's probably authenticity. It's what they look for.
Yeah. So there are 2 ways to answer this question. What does like NextJump value the most as a company in itself, and what does NextJump value the most in the people it's looking for? So I would say when we think about the company, the thing we value the most is other people. Everything is based around people, growing people, getting new candidates into Super Saturday, developing them, taking them to a leadership role, giving them opportunity to develop and practice and grow. So when we talk about what's the most important resource for NextJump, we always think about NextJumpers or the people. When we're looking for candidates, one thing we really look for is authenticity. We don't, it's a very informal culture. We want people to be open and be original. And it's very easy for us, for the interviewer, to know if someone is not being authentic, or if they're just giving like textbook answers or prepared answers. So one suggestion would be like be authentic as much as you can. Okay.
I can take the next one.
Yeah.
So for the technical exercise using the portal, are we coding with a NextJumper who we can consult with, or are we on our own? So there will be multiple proctors walking around the room when you're taking your practical exam. So you can always ask one of them if you have any issues or anything like that. But it's not going to be like NextJump focused, really. It's going to be like general coding questions, and then you'll have to answer them, coding challenges. So you can always ask NextJumpers if you need some clarification, but for the most part, you're going to be on your own for the test.
Mm-hmm.
You want to take it?
Cool. So there's another question right underneath.
Yes, so for the coding challenge, there will be questions that will integrate all 3 of them, or not all 3, all 5. Yeah, it'll integrate a lot of technologies together. There will be some that only deal with one language and some that deal with all of them. So it'll be a breadth of different topics that you'll be working on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
DevOps positions will have a coding challenge as well. I believe that there wasn't a study guide sent for DevOps. So if we're able to scrounge up one for you guys, we'll figure it out. But for the most part, if you have the job description, just look at what is listed on there, and then you should just follow that, and you should be okay.
So there's a question around the team challenge.
It is for the team challenge. It will be basically discussion and presentation, but how you implement it, or like that's left up to you guys. It's usually pretty open-ended, which it leaves it to you guys to decide how you want to go forward with it. So I can't say there's no implementation on nothing at all. It will be a discussion and presentation for the team, but how you take it forward is up to your team, really.
Cool. Next question. Who wants to take this? Can
What
you
is-
tell about your own experience with Team Challenge?
Anyone?
I can.
Yeah, you can.
Okay. So when I went through Super Saturday, I think it was a year, 2 years now.
2 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years. I remember like even the people that I was with because I think 2 of us got through and joined NextJump. And it was really interesting because you get thrown this really cool challenge, and it's a business problem that like you actually have to think through as both an engineer, business. Everyone's mixed match, so you all have to think about it from different perspectives and try and figure out how you're going to solve this problem, which could actually happen in our industry and in other companies and etc. And I really enjoyed it. Just make sure that when you do the business challenge, you're being authentic, you're speaking up, you're making sure that you are, if you see something wrong, you mention it, that sort of thing. Just don't be shy and don't like kind of take a role where you're not really saying too much. But on the same side, don't be too aggressive either. Just be authentic, be yourself, and then that should work out fine.
So there's a similar question following up. So the question is, do interns and full-time candidates do the challenge together? So the answer again is, so other than the top coding challenge from 10:45 a.m. till 12:55 p.m., everything you guys do would be mixed. There would be no distinction between full-time interns, DevOps, business, or web dev. So everything would be mixed. So another question about, could you give more details around the cultural interview? Is it 2 hours long, one-on-one? So I think so. It's a 2-hour block we have in the schedule for cultural interviews, but it's not going to be 1 2-hour long interview. That would be insane. Or I don't know. It could be. We could surprise you. But it'll most probably be 3 or 4 cultural interviews in that 2-hour period. Another thing that would be a part of that block is we will take you on a culture tour. Maybe a 20-minute culture tour around the office. We'll show you different parts of the office. We have a spin studio, we have a dance studio, we have a very sophisticated gym. We have different, we've decorated our walls around our initiatives, adopting a school, code for a cause. So we'll basically take you through all the cultural values that NextJump is. So they'll also be a part of the cultural interview talk.
A state-of-the-art Pilates studio.
Yeah, we have a spin to Pilates studio. Yeah.
Right. Kids club. Oh, we recently started a kids club, right?
So we have a bounce house.
We do the laundry for people, which I always like.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll also see some design pictures, some mock pictures of our new upcoming office.
Yeah.
So we're planning to move to the top floor of the same building, and hopefully build a swimming pool as well.
Yep. Next question: do interns and full-time candidates
did
do
that.
the challenge
Oh,
together?
we
Yes.
already did that one.
We did. Okay.
Just like
Cool.
last
I think
one.
how many people are on the team?
Do you mean the team challenge
I
or
think
just a team?
We can answer both.
we can answer both.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to take the team challenge one?
Yeah, for the team challenge, it'll be 4 or 5 people on each team. For the team,
Yeah.
it depends.
So if the question is about how many people are in a NextJump team, generally, so it depends on the product. You know, it's so you could be the only person working on the team, or you could be like 5 engineers working on the team, or 5 people working on the team. So it basically pretty much depends on what the project is and how important it is for the NextJump. If we really need to move fast on a project, there'll be more resources dedicated to that project, and there'll be more people working on it. If it's more of a long-term project, then it could be on the back burner. It could be like a few less people on that project. So it basically depends. So there's no right answer to it.
Do you pick your team members? No, not really. They picked by us.
It's random. Yeah. Are we coding in PHP, or is there a choice?
For the coding practical,
Yeah.
I believe that the coding practical, you'll have to use PHP in addition to HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and those different, and SQL as well. But you'll be able to consult online, check up on PHP functions, that sort of thing. So don't think that you have to memorize how it works. PHP is a pretty easy language to just learn. Memorizing it might be another story, but you'll have access to the internet to be able to look up different functions, figure out if something is going wrong, Stack Overflow.
Yeah,
That's what part of the test, though.
Yes.
Yeah, I think if you haven't used PHP before, the only tip we can give you right now is there's a $sign before each variable. There's a $sign. So that's the biggest difference.
And just to point out, the reason why we have the test in PHP is because almost all of our platform is in PHP.
The front end, right?
The front end,
Yeah.
and the back end is written mostly in Go. We're starting to port most of it to Go, but that's not incorporated into the test really. So just keep that in mind. Just brush up a little bit on PHP. You can, I think Code Academy has a class on it. You can just take a quick class and then look up functions during the test, and you should be fine.
Mm-hmm. So the question, what would any
Yeah,
suggestions?
any
Any suggestions or tips that could
Okay.
help us do well in a culture interview? I think we'll go back to being authentic. So we value authenticity a lot, and we want you to be yourself, and we want you to be open about things and not really go tilt towards textbook answers. So be original, be open about your background, about your feeling, about your thoughts. Nothing to hide. No, we would never be like, oh, he said something so politically incorrect or something. Just be original and authentic. So that's one suggestion we could give you without giving out the questions, basically.
Try not to just straight up rehearse different answers and things like that.
It's easy to tell if you're prepared.
It's it's pretty easy to tell if someone rehearses. Just kind of make it like a conversation. Just say what's on your mind, and don't stress about it too much. That's what I would say. Just be yourself, be authentic.
For what would challenge candidates the most on the day? I don't know. There's no answer to this where it's like what challenges everyone. I can talk about what challenged me, which was just how long the day is. And like we can't deny it. You're going to be with us from 9:30 to 7, which is a long time for an interview. So at least personally, I know that like the long hours was a challenge, but it's not as bad. Like you come out of it and you don't realize how many interviews you did and everything that you went through.
I think it's true. It's basically the intensity of the day. It's like mentally draining. So a lot of talking, a lot of interviews. So that by the end of the day, you're actually exhausted, and you realize, okay, there's one more thing, there's one more activity. So it's a never-ending day in a way. So it's important to like stay hydrated. So we'll make sure you guys have water, and just keep your energy levels high as much as you can.
So do we pick our team member or random?
No. Is there a coding challenge?
I'm behind always.
Is there a coding language that should be used for DevOps coding challenge? I believe that for DevOps, you'll have to be familiar with like Linux basic commands such as that. Probably like VirtualBox, networking, those types of things. I would say like I don't think that there's a specific language you have to code in.
We can get back to Navneet on this.
For DevOps candidates, we can get back to you guys. There's like a whole separate team that's working on the DevOps coding challenge and tests. So we have to contact them and figure that out. But we'll get back to you guys about that.
Next one's yours too.
For web dev, the study guide stated that people should know about Linux, Go, and version control. Would we be tested heavily on those? So I wouldn't say tested heavily, but you could get questions about it. Like I mentioned, there's the coding practical, and then there's a multiple choice section. You could get multiple choice questions on it. The coding practical might have some questions where it might ask you, oh, how would you do this with version control? What would you write? What would you put in the terminal? That sort of thing.
Right.
So
just to add, so the test isn't designed that let's say if you don't know SVN, you would fail horribly. Anything, there might be a question around it, but it wouldn't be so one lacking in, let's say, one small technology wouldn't really affect the overall score. It's like a combination of technologies you'll be testing on.
Cool.
Okay, Lynn is here.
Hi, Lynn.
Hey, Lynn.
If there's any other questions, feel free to let us know. If not, then I guess we're done.
We can stick.
We'll give you like another
we'll stick
couple
around
of
for a couple of
minutes
minutes.
just to see that nobody has
Yeah.
any questions or anything that we didn't answer effectively.
There you
you guys
go.
recommend any restaurants for us to try out?
For people traveling from outside New York.
Cool.
Russian.
Restaurants, that's all Roshan. That's all him.
What kind of restaurants?
Just say everything. Just
Just give them a list
If
of
you want ramen, you go to Toto Ramen. If you want spicy, you go to Sigiri. If you want dessert, you can go to Chickalicious.
If you want Indian, you go to
cupcakes, you can
Lexington.
go to Cupcakes by Molly's Cupcakes. What else?
If you
right
want
near
Indian
he-
food, there's Lexington Avenue right
Yeah.
here.
For Indian food, we're pretty close to what is it?
Curry Lane?
Curry Lane.
Yeah.
Where there's tons of Indian food places.
There's K-Town right here.
K-Town is like right next to us too.
Yeah.
Tons of Korean food.
Cool. We have another question, guys. What's work-life balance at NextJump?
NextJump. So the easy answer would be that it's not a 9 to 5 job. It could be much more intense than that, but it also depends on the project you're working on and the season you're in. To give you an example, so we are just entering Q4, the holiday season is going to be the busiest season. And I don't expect that, I'll get a lot of time to myself because it's a very busy season for NextJump. So this is a time I would want to give my time to NextJump so we can do well in the business. But at the same time, there are times when you'll be much more relaxed. Like there've been days when I would come in at 10 and leave at 5. Not super normal. There've been days when I would come in at 9 and leave at 9 at night. So it's there's no right answer to this.
Yeah, I think I can speak to the same. I sometimes I usually come early, but try to leave around 6:30 now. And then there's others who are like married and higher up in the company who have children already who tries to sometimes leave early during some days and work late on others. Super flexible. We have most people start trickling in 9:30, 10. And we have dinner is served every day. So most people it's served at 6. So most people stick around to grab some dinner, chat with everyone, and tend to head out 6:30, 6:45. I think, right?
Yeah. Again, depending on the project and the work and the season.
Yeah.
Cool.
Fun.
Are we going to get an email with the detail about the Friday event? Yes.
You were supposed to, but if you haven't already, we can send you one. I guess we'll note down your name and send you another invite. If anyone else hasn't gotten an email with the Friday pre-event invite, please let us know through email or now on this chat, and we can send you that. Do you have the next question?
For the number of people, there's 50 candidates, around 60 of us, 60 next jumpers, and then around 20 odd guests who are like members from CIA and a few other places, right?
Yeah, we have guests from companies that we've worked with. We run a thing called Academy where we kind of teach what we do at NextJump to other companies. So I think representatives from like JP Morgan are going to be here, Fidelity.
So if you're wondering why the guests would be here, so one of the ideas that we try and invest a lot in our culture, and by culture I mean how we hire, how we do hiring, how we do onboarding, how we do personal development, and we've experimented a lot of things and we've learned from mistakes and gotten better at it. And now we are at a stage where actually teaching other organizations on how we do these things, and that includes how we hire people. So last year we had a lot of guests from the US military come in and see how we hire people. So this time we have a lot of guests coming from JPMC and other organizations, again, to see how we run Super Saturday and then how we hire candidates. So you'll run into a few non-candidate people and non-next jumpers on the day.
Yeah, like the way we do hiring and a lot of other things are very different to any other company. So, and pretty much NextJump in itself, our culture is like a huge experiment, right? So a lot of other companies actually come here to see how it's done. So that's what you'll pretty much see. So if you're sitting with a NextJumper for your interview and 2 other guests, so that's who they are. Yeah.
So there's a question from Saurabh. What is your favorite part of the day at NextJump?
I think we can all take
What is it?
this one. What's your favorite part of the Super Saturday?
Favorite part of the Super Saturday? I really like the interviews.
Which interviews?
The culture interviews. That's what I usually do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Anyone else?
I personally like the career fair, but that's just me. I just like seeing all the different things that we do in one place. And I think the career fair is a cool concept that lets us do that.
Oh, lunch is my favorite. Sorry.
I think the question is outside Super Saturday.
Yeah.
Oh, outside
Your
Super
normal
Saturday.
day at NextJump.
Oh,
Um,
it's hard to describe. I mean, except for, so I usually go to Chipotle to eat lunch. So other than
at 11
At
every
11.
day.
yeah, so
on
other
the
than
dot.
that, that's the only set thing that I have in my day. I would just say just talking to people, like
Yeah.
all these guys, people outside this room, just talking to people. It's my favorite part of the day. It's fun.
I
just-
think for me it's
Yeah.
not dinner, but then lunch, I guess, because all of us sit down in the garden
Yeah.
for lunch. It actually doesn't feel as much like an office or like we're sitting down with colleagues for office lunch. It just feels like a bunch of friends sitting down and getting food together,
Mhm.
which is almost like how it was back in school. And I think that's my favorite part.
Yeah. No, I would second that. I think one of the best part about it are the people. Again, coming back to the first question, comparing NextJump to some of the other companies we've worked with, it's basically the people. Some of our closest friends are actually from NextJump. People come to NextJump and then people, go on and, go on and, change jobs and stuff and we stay friends. That's how strong the bond is within NextJump. So that's definitely one of the distinguishing parts about us.
And also, like, it's hard to pinpoint what you'll do on any given day because, like, we spend a lot of time on culture, and especially on Thursday and Friday, it's usually set to really focus on culture things. Like, for example, this Super Saturday, although we're all engineers and a business person here, like, we are organizing this. Like, Stefan and Clea are captaining the whole event. So everything from hiring to invites to everything, they're leading it, and there's so many people working for them to make this event a success, right? So usually on other weeks, we spend Thursday, Friday heavily on cultural activities like putting together Super Saturday. Like Talha mentioned, academies where a lot of other companies come in to learn our culture. Putting together an academy would be one of them also. So on those days, your day might look very different to like a Monday where you'll spend a lot of time on your revenue generating job, which is like software engineering or a business thing. Yeah.
Cool. Also, Lynn, we didn't miss your comment. We're excited to see you too.
Cool.
Any final questions anyone wants to ask?
I know the last time we gave them a warning, people asked so many questions.
Or we can have a closing remark from
The captains?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah, sure. Just to close out, I'm super excited to see all of you guys this Saturday. We're putting a lot of effort into the event to make it as enjoyable for you guys as possible. Trying to pay attention to all the small details and everything. The event's shaping up great. We have a huge turnout from you guys and from Next Jumpers, from our guests. So I think it's going to be a really fun, really cool event where we'll all get to meet each other and get to know each other pretty well.
If you still have questions, I think you probably have some of our emails at least. Like, feel free to write to us anytime between now and Saturday. Or on Saturday, you'll see all of us.
All right.
All right, guys.
All right, good stuff.
Thanks for joining.
Thanks
Feel
for
free to send
joining.
us emails if you want with any other questions.
And then we'll reach out to
Just
people
mute.
who didn't receive the invites for Friday.
Cool.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See you Friday.